to you about a book called The Dice Man. Thank you. That's what I like. So the back of this book tells me the book can change your life if you dare to try it. So I've tried it. It also tells me it's a cult bestseller, which I'd like to stay on a little bit. I think by cult, they mean it's shocking, it's subversive, someone will be offended, everyone will be offended. And by bestseller, I think they're just using it in lieu of classic. Cult classic, cult bestseller. So no pretensions with its literary merit. The premise is that of a, this is going to be, by the way, literally just me talking about a book. No comedy there. So the premise is this psychiatrist who is bored with how mundane his life is. He decides one day to make a decision by the throw of the dice. I'm not going to say what that first decision was, because it's horrible. But in doing so, he kind of opens his life to chance. He makes chance make a big play, and in doing so, he has lots of sexually liberal experiences, explores new things, new genders, new ways of thinking. So it is, I think, cult in that sense. I first read this book when I was on holiday with my family. So you know how you don't like it when your parents and your younger siblings talk about the fact that they're sexually active? That's how I feel when I know that we've all read this book. We all like this book. It is shocking. It is really quite dark. Again, I won't dwell on the dark passages because let's not go there. So I had this really high concept piece where I was going to get a dice and just roll it and decide how that shaped the talk, but I'm not prepared enough and I haven't done that. But for the sake of argument, say I just rolled a 2. Thank you. 1 in 6. So the book itself is, to quote the author, so it's written by Luke Reinhardt, who's also our protagonist, who's also completely fictional, which is something you should know. A lot of people are very, take this book very seriously. They're just like, oh, you raped your neighbour. Yeah, but no, because he didn't write it. I was like, oh, you're really using this book as a way to kind of allow that, make it okay. No, it's fictional. So it is a satire on kind of the limits that people are pushing themselves. It's written in the 70s, which says a lot about the sorts of terms they throw about how maybe sexist it is, about how not appropriate some of the jokes are, and they do fall flat, and they're not necessarily appropriate nowadays. But if you take it as a satirical book, you'll find a lot in here to have a little look at. Namely, some particularly unsexy sex scenes. So, I think, well, one of the ways he's kind of trying to get away from how mundane his life is, and he's got a hot wife, he's got beautiful kids, he's a very successful psychiatrist, but something's not right. So, he opens himself up to sexual exploration. You can still use a dice for that, I'm not saying anything, but in here it leads him to many situations. And finally, the kind of cult of the dice happens so that he shows it to other people and they kind of get sexy with him. And then with other people. And this cult forms, and in it sort of religion. So, by the way, in this talk, you're not going to know anything about the book other than what I've just told you. But you'll remember the name, and that's fine. You should buy it. Waterstone. That's fine. Pleasure. So I've starred some particularly interesting passages here. All right. Okay, get ready guys, it's hot. Okay. Osterflood, what a name. Osterflood. Osterflood's big buttocks moving a few inches up and down as he ploughed away at Gina's rich earth. her fingers splayed out on his back and occasionally changing position, as if she were playing chords. Gina was groaning when Osterflood abruptly rose to his knees, flipped her onto her stomach like a farmer working with a sack of wheat, and fumbled with his weapon to re-engage the enemy in her other cave. Highbrow literature. It goes to really dark straight away. Oh God, it's so horrible. All right. Let's do it. Canned hilarious laughter from the TV flowed hilariously across the room along the rug, bubbling, hilarious, over Osterflood again. He's not even the main character. Over Osterflood's twisted torso, up Gina's long, sweat and semen-stained legs. Over taut, dripping breasts, over my wet mouth drooling on her neck, down my moisture-streaked chest and belly, to bubble and reverberate hilariously at last in the endless sensual roll and moil of my mighty oiled meat, in the fold upon fold of Gina's molten, honeyed, holy motion, slowly rolling holy bowl. Holy bowl. Yeah. So I'll do one more and then the rest of it, she should buy the book. It's all sex scenes. Oh, this is a short one, but I thought it was really funny. The long and short of it, reader, and that is the usual sequence in these affairs, was that I made a splendid splash in Terry's interior. I think it's how we should all refer to you. Okay, so it's a sex life. So kind of the rest of the book as well is obviously ridiculous. I hope you've got that. So the protagonist, Luke, the writer, Luke, says at the beginning it's essentially a biography, and he's going to stick to facts as much as he wants, but maybe the dice will sometimes tell him to lie, so who the fuck knows what's happening. But he does say the biography will be a chaotic, a cunning chaos, and in that, the book is just impenetrable to read. Well, I mean, it's not, but 1 second it's all in first person, then it's in third person, it's 3 years earlier, and then it just flips from first person to third person. It flips between his writing, between psychiatrist notes on him. It flips between, and this is the really interesting part, the thing called the Book of Die, which is essentially a self-written Bible for the dice life. There are some passages in here taken from the Bible, and they've essentially swapped the word God out for chance. Hilariously, I read the beginning of it. Hilarious. I read the beginning of it, and I said to my nanny, my grandmother, not my hired help, I said to my nanny that, I said to her, oh look, they've taken this from the Bible and they've made it, all about chance. She's like, oh look, it's written terribly. It's like they just made it really hilarious and it's written terribly and it's about chance. My nanny read it and just goes, I mean, that is verbatim, ad verbatim the Bible. They've just changed the word God 3 times to chance for the rest of it. The Bible's written so badly. But that's real naivety. But yeah, she has to tell me that. And then as you flick through, the Bible passages become less and less from the Bible. It finishes with another passage in the Book of Die where he's being chased down by some policemen with AK-47. So I don't know how close to the Testament, New Testament is. New. What else would I say? How much longer? 2 minutes. Great. If I had some dice right now, I could just kind of get you to do stuff. I guess I'm just going to say a little bit about the book in general. I wanted to just say how offensive it was, but it just came my word for it. Highly offensive. Highly offensive. So the aim of the book is basically to show that although you're rolling a dice, the decisions you make in life come from yourself, regardless of whether you've got a dice to show them. In order, it's not like yes man, where you say yes to every choice that comes to you, you're actively making those choices. So, in doing so, even if you have to do something horrible, you thought in the first place, you've got to take the blame. When he first starts Dice Life, he essentially does it as a way of putting his guilt onto something else. He's like, well, I can't take the guilt from it if I did it because of the dice. I mean, we'd all like to say that, right? Just like, oh, sorry, didn't come into work because the dice told me not to. He leaves his family because the dice told him to. So as much as it's a lovely kind of cop-out clause, it's maybe not perfect in that sense. But that's the whole point of the book. It is satire, and you should definitely read it. You should definitely share it amongst your family. Really great. There's a follow-up book actually called The Search for the Dice Man, where essentially he's holed up in a mountain and his son tries to find him, and there's this massive escape route, just tons of orgies. So, recommend reading it up. I think I'm under time, but that's fine. Yeah, sure. You did it. Have I rolled it? You rolled the dice. I mean, the dice I was going to bring came from a game of backgammon. I have rolled dice, yeah. No, I haven't. I was like I said, I was going to do it tonight, so I thought it might be a nice idea, but I wasn't prepared enough. But maybe I didn't press charges. On that occasion.
No one more time for Belle.